everyone, Lakey here, and today I want to talk about something I feel like I see becoming ever so apparent in the Phantom Forces community, and that is the way that people have been manipulated. This is very clear to me with the way people talk about weapons, especially for whatever reason it seems that many in the community have been manipulated to feel certain ways about certain weapons, notably the BFG-50, certain shotguns, the M60, the AA-12, just to name a few notable ones. These reactions are often negative and often very blown up and out of proportion. People are angry, raging, aggressive, or irrational when it comes to dealing with these weapons. These reactions are often followed by negative expression outwards towards other people as well. It is also usually after dying to someone using one of these weapons. My real question though is why? Why is the reaction to dying to a shotgun instant rage? What causes this to be the default reaction for many people as opposed to a different feeling, as opposed to a feeling of less severity or a feeling of not really caring that you died to a shotgun in a video game at all? Now, I'm sure a lot of you are plainly thinking that, well, they died to a shotgun, and they don't like shotguns, so that's all it is, open and shut. But that to me doesn't tell the whole story and leaves out a good chunk of it, the actual action of dying in the game. Sure, you got killed by a shotgun, but why did you die? As I've said multiple times before in different videos, when dying in Phantom Forces, the reason for your death can often be attributed to one of two things. On a broad level, the first is dying because of a mistake you made. For example, reloading when you shouldn't have, peeking into a spot you shouldn't have, missing your shots, for example. These are just a few examples of how mistakes can get you killed, and in death, you might be able to look back and see what that mistake was. The other way that dying happens is simply because it's inevitable. You'd have to go back too many steps to change the way that you died, and it's out of your control. Phantom Forces is a fast-paced game after all, and dying will happen quite often, even for the best of players. I find that even immediately after dying, don't even have to look back at footage or anything like that. I can see, oh yeah, I just made a mistake there and I died because of that. Sure, the person who killed me may have been using a shotgun, but I also just missed all my shots on them. So even if they weren't using a shotgun, they still would have killed me. Now, we could also go into the ways of how different aspects of the game, like team balance or map layout, might make it more likely for you to die right off the bat without you even doing anything, but I'll save that for another time. So when we understand that the premise of dying is either because we made a mistake we made, or because it's inevitable, or we're just more likely to die because of team balance or the map side that we're on, what does the gun someone is using really have to do with anything? We could look at a situation where maybe you're on a longer kill streak and you've just finished fighting some enemies, so you're low health. Let's say maybe 30. You run into a room to get cover, reload, and recollect yourself. But unfortunately for you, an enemy is in the room and they kill you. If they have an assault rifle, your reaction is disappointed, maybe irritated that you died on such a long kill streak, but you brush it off and spawn back in. If it's a shotgun, however, your reaction is amplified. You are angry, frustrated, or upset. Leave it to the stupid shotgun user, of course, to end your nice kill streak. But with either of these guns, you die in one shot given the health you're at, and it doesn't mean all that much that it's a shotgun or an assault rifle. Another example in-game that I often find myself encountering on the Phantom side of Metro is the green and purple area. With a sufficient enough gun, you can wallbang to some capacity the walls in that area, which creates a very strong choke point. And I find myself wallbanging people here as well as getting shot through the same walls myself. I tend to play with friends with Phantom Forces, and one of them happens to use the AA-12 rather frequently. So it's no odd occurrence that with the flechette ammo type equipped, I may die to them from a wallbang, and Metro is definitely a map where that can be taken advantage of, and I'm sure we're all somewhat familiar with getting wallbanged in that purple and green area. Now, you can die to the AA-12 or another shotgun in this area, but I challenge you to think of it differently rather than jump to hating on the person using the shotgun. Would it differ very much if it was a sniper rifle that wallbanged you? Or if it was an LMG that really got you in the end? It wouldn't really be much different at all, really. You got wallbanged and died. and whatever weapon that is doesn't matter. And for me, at least, while playing Metro, if that area is being heavily contested, I don't just say screw it and run down that hallway expecting not to get shot and not to encounter someone, and I may even just avoid it altogether if I know that it's just going to result in death by simply setting foot in it. But other people don't do that and will continuously run down that hallway and continue to blame the shotgun when they could have just as easily died to something else. Considering that it's just bullet spam down that hallway anyways, you could really die to anyone who's spraying and praying down there. But yet people mindlessly push the same area over and over and over again. I don't know what it is about Metro, but people seem to constantly just run up the same escalator in a large group of enemies, or run down the same hallway and continue to die in the same way over and over again, but get mad at the players for killing them when you could be playing a lot smarter. The way that people are manipulated in this community is also very apparent to me when we look at something like the BFG-50, for example. This gun has been in the game for many years, and for the time it has gotten crazy amounts of hate directed at it, or just the people using it. Assuming that this is about the properties the BFG-50 has, it isn't the only sniper rifle to have the characteristics that it has. The M107 is very similar, for example. The big differences being the rank unlock, mag size, reload times, and fire rate, but for some reason, the M107 gets nowhere near the same amount of hate that the BFG-50 gets. I've seen some argue that it's because the BFG-50 is easier to buy, but the hate is not any less when someone is using it at what is deemed to be an appropriate level, and I feel like I have yet to even see any hate for the M107 or anyone using it, bot weapon or not. And then you have to take in consideration that the BFG is just not a good sniper rifle by any means. It is largely agreed upon in the community that the BFG is one of the worst, if not the worst, sniper rifle available. So with it being a bad gun and possessing properties that other guns have, but getting what seems like more hate than any other weapon in Phantom Force's history, it's definitely more than the objective properties that it has. There is something underlying at play that has caused people to have the reaction to the BFG-50. While you probably can't trace back the exact cause to the hate the BFG-50 gets, it's definitely due to long-standing community hate towards the weapon that has manipulated and taught people to have an altered and much more negative perception of it as it compares to other weapons in the game. I guess people don't like the idea of dying to a bad weapon maybe, but the meta in Phantom Forces is such that playing with really any weapon is viable, so you could really get killed by any quality of weapon available. I look at shotguns the same way. Inflammation towards them in the community really feels like it has manipulated the way that people feel about them, whereas you could have just as easily died to another weapon. And in my experience with using shotguns, most of the times I'm not just popping onto the person's screen, deleting them in one shot, and that's it. The enemy usually has some amount of time to prepare to fight me. You can hear people walking around you, the radar is available, you can hear people shooting, you can see people from a good distance away as well. So I don't understand why people are acting like shotgun users just blip onto their screen for a fraction of a second, shoot them, and then zoom away. It's not always happening like that. The same can be said when you're against a shotgun. I find that when I die to shotgun users, it's usually because I made a mistake or something like that, and not because the shotgun is just this over-dominating weapon that destroys everyone on the server. For whatever reason, people's reactions are just manipulated to be much more severe than what is fitting for the situation. The anger would definitely suggest that, because these are just weapons after all. They do not have any objective properties besides their stats. They do not have personalities or anything like that. They are only toxic or evil or awful or whatever because you attach that description to them. It is because of these irrational means of demonizing weapons that hate for them just generates a toxic cycle of reactions that are over the top. When the AA-12 was released into the game, it was not by default a toxic weapon, or an evil weapon, or a weapon you should not use. If anything, it was the opposite. It was something that people wanted for so long. And then, slowly but surely, or maybe not so slowly but surely, the community learned to hate it, and they taught themselves to have a reaction to it that is just over the top and severe. It's just a weapon. Does it really mean that much to die in a video game with little at stake as well? If anything, you are meant to die in this game, AA-12 or not. I think that players get the sense that they are ultimately in control while playing, and that is anything but the case. There is an enormous number of factors outside the game that could affect your playing. Couple that with in-game factors as well, it's impossible to suggest that the blame for dying is all on the person who killed you. Like, if I'm in a Discord call or listening to music while playing and my ability to hear is obstructed, I have to accept that that might possibly lead to me dying or not recognizing that there's an enemy somewhere as quickly as if I were playing in a quiet room without distraction in that way. And that's just one example of an outside factor that can affect how you play. The logic that it's the shotgun's fault that I died, and if it weren't for the shotgun, I wouldn't have died, despite the mistake that you made or the other factor that led you to your death anyways, to me shows more of a lack of self-reflection and unwillingness to understand death in a game where death is very frequent. It's just deflection, really. When you can see the reason you died, yet turn away from it and blame the shotgun in a fit of rage, that's how you've been manipulated. People in the community have been taught that the proper reaction and response to the shotgun or any of the previous weapons listed or someone using it is just to spew vitriolic abuse and expect change from that. But hey, shotgun's bad, shotgun users bad, no skill weapons bad, policing weapons good, hate towards weapons good, is what is continually spit out by the community here, so perhaps my words are all in vain. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ahi, shut up. Please shut up, dog. Ahi. Why? I'm recording. Please. Please. Ahi, come on. Why we gotta bark? It's 10 p.m., buddy. Oh my gosh.